Mr. Tricky, great to have you here on the Dunedin Stories podcast.
Kia ora, Bex, and thanks for inviting me in. It's an honour to be here.
You're very welcome. And I have to apologise, I can't call you anything but Mr. Tricky. Being a school teacher who I have become very fond of, who was involved in lots of different things. But do you know what? Do you want to introduce yourself to the Dunedin Store community and let them know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, kia ora. I'm Duncan Tricky, educator at Otago Girls High School, and doing business studies, learning support, a lot of sports stuff and esports and various things, and yeah, just really awesome to be here as well to talk about things in Dunedin and how good it is.
Teachers aren't just teachers anymore, are they? They're not just focusing on one particular subject or curriculum.
No, definitely not. And I think teaching's definitely changed. Believe it or not, I probably started when I was 22, and I'm a bit older than that now. But there's
couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years. But there's been huge changes from when I started out to now, which is good as well. As I think there's a lot of great things with that as well. But where our job ends is kind of
blurry.
Yeah, it's extended a bit, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you always think you were going to be a teacher?
It's sometimes I think, well, it's maybe a bit of a lack of imagination.
Surely not.
'Cause you're in school and you kind of, and I've never really left school, but it's originally when I was at primary school, and I tell the kids this a lot, it was a pig farmer. I really wanted to be a pig farmer for a long time. And then someone explained to me you had to kill pigs to be a pig farmer, and I didn't fancy that.
No.
And then.
So what was it that pig farming interested you?
I like pigs. I just wanted to have pigs, and the farm seemed a nice place to be. I'm a town boy. I'm not really a country boy, so I probably didn't have that experience.
You didn't connect the bacon.
No,
with the
not at all. I just thought, they look like fun animals to own. And it developed from that. I went on and done a Robbie Coltrane and Cracker. I don't know if you had that. Robbie Coltrane, brilliant Scottish actor.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
He did a crime kind of psychology thing, which was when I was probably in my formative years. I would have been about 12 or 13, and watched that with my mum and dad. And I really wanted to be a psychologist, and thinking educational psychology. Yeah. I couldn't spell psychology. I'm dyslexic, so it was really difficult spelling psychology a lot, So
same with the word dyslexia.
Dyslexia, very difficult to spell, and I got that label from being with an educational psychologist, So that was a kind of interesting entry into where your career pathway might go. As I progressed through school, from about 13, 14, I started working with youth, doing youth groups, mostly through the YMCA and stuff. We have arts groups and other things that were just, my dad kind of always pushed me into this community work, which was great. That led to things like I went to Denmark and I went to the USA to do a little bit of youth work and
exchange type.
Yeah. So an exchange with the USA, and then in Denmark it was. I was 16 at the time, and we went and did sports kind of coaching and stuff. It was kind of unclear why we were over there, but it was met a lot of really positive youth and positive youth leaders, and it was a fantastic opportunity. It was about 6 weeks through the summer, so and that really, from that I really knew that youth work was where I wanted to go. My dad, he was a teacher. My mum was a teacher. My brother was a teacher.
Okay. It was part of your destiny.
It was. But my dad, he kind of went on and did a lot of directing of education and stuff, and then social work and economic development. So he pushed me for things like work experience. I went to social workers and kind of saw what they did, and they had flexi time as well.
Yeah.
So the first Monday I got in, there was flexi time, and everyone else was at their work placements, and I was like, I've got flexi time. This, I was like, this is awesome.
I'll take advantage of that straight away.
Yeah.
Nice.
But then, obviously, youth work going into the night, I'd do a few like youth groups and stuff and visit these places with them. I think it was quite difficult at school. And I acknowledge this with the kids as well at school, that I failed pretty spectacularly. In Scotland, you get kind of 2 shots at university entrance. And in my first shot, as a dyslexic navigating, I think it was every school was judged on 5 hires. Like, so 5, if your students got 5 hires, that was kind of the judgment that the ministry would make. So I did 5 hires. I think I passed 2 of them. Wow. Which was quite a shock. And I talk about like those labels of failure, and you had my cousins who did really well, and but I'd failed maths, failed English, meant I had to really think about what I was going to do, because I knew university was a destination. I'd really enjoyed religious studies, which was a bit different as well, and that's more from wanting to know what people think, not a basic faith thing. I kind of looked at a lot of Buddhism and Islam and things like this, and morals, and then and so I did better in my next year at high school, but didn't do well enough to get into my destination university, which was either Glasgow or Edinburgh.
Right.
But luckily, I'd gone to Leeds University, and they'd given me this option of getting free seats, which was basically not failing. And I'd go in there, and that was after an interview, and Dr. Mason down there he really liked me, and he could see something there, which was awesome.
Is this where the C's get degrees line came from? Maybe?
Yeah, well,
might be the foundation of it.
I mean, it was just that foot in the door,
Yeah.
Nobody in Glasgow or Edinburgh ever talked to me, So if you're just looking at a person on paper, it's
not the whole person.
It's difficult. I really thank him for that. There was difficult times at the first starting out at university, and I think one of the head of the department said, "Have you thought about going and building instead?" It was looking at this spelling and writing and grammar, and that was again, and it's what you were judged on often. I was lucky I had a real supportive crew around me. So a lot of my friends would do the spell checks and do that. So I suppose in today's world, young people have a better path to that, don't they? Because there's so many more tools and technologies and software and support care. Absolutely. Grammarly is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
It is a lifesaver. I constantly use it, and I think it just, especially in communications, like if I send you an email back, I'll make sure Grammarly's got a hold of it.
I hadn't noticed.
Precisely. And you wouldn't. I think these things are so common now, so and those tools are there. I was very resistant as a young person, because I was offered extra time and stuff, but I didn't take that. But I went from there to the postgraduate certificate in education, which I did in England again, and that was you got at that point the devil's money for it. It was £666 a month to study it, which was really, really helpful. That just paid my rent there as well. I had very, very supportive parents, so they looked after me as well. And then I think the entry into Scottish school was a bit difficult, but yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah, they're difficult.
I promise I won't use that word too many times.
But I think, I don't know, in the career pathway, I think it was first 2 years in was very, very tough because I was young, I was 22. I didn't really have the knowledge, and this is what a lot of young teachers face, is they don't have the kind of cate of knowledge that and expectations of what working with youth is like. And this is when my New Zealand story kind of started. After 2 years teaching, fully registered, I'd been really enjoying my rugby. I had not been enjoying my career. It was a really tough school I was in. So I came out here. Yeah. I was in mostly in Wanaka. Spent a bit of time on Slipper Island as well, up on the Coromandel, and happened to through that meet my wife as well. My future wife. Which was awesome. And we went back to Scotland, and having a kind of almost given up on the teaching, I went back to my hometown and started relief teaching, and was like, do you know what, this is okay.
Just a different angle to it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was, and enjoyed that, and picked up a job pretty quickly, and then there was 2 years at Dumfries High School, which is not my actual high school. Mine's Dumfries Academy, so it was a rival school, but absolutely loved it. I know the principal there now. He worked with me. He was my HOD there, and just a great place, and a great place to. I felt really supported, and just kind of, and I was like, no, I can keep doing this, which was awesome. Yeah.
So how did you land at Otago Girls in Dunedin?
Oh, well, that was probably through a really good interview.
Yeah.
So I'd been I came back over here with my wife. Stephanie was heavily pregnant at that time. With nothing, almost nothing apart from a very, very supportive family of hers. So we were lucky, and was the first kind of shout outs with Dunedin is the owner of Krusty Corner. So Rob Barker, who was my father-in-law. So he was Krusty Corner. He'd been running that since.
He used to do great sandwiches.
Oh yeah, I know. We miss Krusty so much. But he ran that from 83 or 86, I think it was.
An institution.
Yeah. And then Steph, my wife, started up Alto with them as well. So, and Alto was incredible. It was almost like a baby because Lily was born and she was breastfeeding. Well, sorry, Lily. while Alto was open and she was working there, as a chef, and that was really, really good fun. And while she was kind of starting out with that, I started just doing a few jobs. I was doing the rubbish run. I was on the recycling thing. I'd through select recruitment. Yeah. They'd phone me up in the morning, and on top of that, just getting a bit of relief teaching in. So started out at DNI and did a week there, which was really awesome. And then ended up at Logan Park.
Did you?
And I was Logan Park for maybe, I think in 7 years.
Right.
Yeah, so I started long-term relief doing PE, which is, it's not my trade, but it's something I have done. I've done a lot of sports, and it's a passion. So they got me in to do some covering, and then it just turned into this rolling contract for a wee while.
So lifelong educationalist. I think that's the right word, isn't it?
Lifelong learners?
Lifelong education deliverer.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Terrible English.
Yeah, no, that's
So
good.
you would have seen a lot of changes
Yeah.
in the industry of education.
Yeah, yeah.
And probably way more in the last 4 years since COVID than we ever thought was possible.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around that innovation and how education is being delivered?
It's I always feel like we're just catching up. You know, and that's probably like, you know, a lot of the times when you're talking to businesses, it's you know, the obvious bump has been through COVID and that change. And so there's been lots and lots of innovation, but it's what sticks, and what sticks is good pedagogy. You know, like every bit, like, you know, I'm sorry anyone doing their masters, but I haven't done my masters yet. But anyone who studies education for long enough comes to the root cause of everything, which is relationships in the classroom. Now, how do we best relate? And I think you know this as well, and in a lot of our teams, you know, whether it's agile you're using, or, you know, is those meetups, celebrations, milestones, and relating to each other. So every business knows it, and schools have got to be really deliberate about this. We've, you know, and I think I've mentioned, like, youth do get a lot of stick. They're stigmatized at times. You know, we're being told nationally they're not attending school, which in part is true. And it's something we've got to make sure our school is better than the alternative, which literally at the moment is anything, isn't it? You know, if I was off school, I'd have 4 channels of TV. You know, there'd be
A couple of sessions a fortnight and Uber Eats delivering your food to the door.
It's so much different, isn't it? It's those options. So we got what's the core of a school? Yeah. The core of a school is a healthy community that's together and supports each other.
It's bringing the whānau along on that journey as well.
Yes.
A lot of our young people have pressures to support their family.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is to earn money. But there needs to be a longer view to that, doesn't there?
There does, and I think, you know, I always look at, like, I think those COVID years were some of the hardest in education, because pre-COVID you lost your people. They suddenly disappeared, and the return was like, oh well, actually they've gone to a one of the essential workers. So there'd be, and that story would be up and down the country, that we lost kids to become essential workers, which was so important, but
what's the future of that workforce and their future as an individual?
And if they haven't, because it's, you know, the online model of education, it can work for some people as well. It really is awesome. There's a lot we can learn from it, but at the heart of the school is the relationships and the community, and that's what we've got to do. So in terms of innovative spaces, it's like, we do a lot of like how to use AI properly. Like we can't ignore that exists.
No.
We can't ignore that things are different now. You know, the rate of change in computers and what can be done is phenomenal. So educators will probably never catch up. But what is the core essentials of our business, and that's relating to kids and having them relate to something, to understand school as a positive experience and understand learning as a positive experience.
And it still has to be a physical experience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, we proved under COVID that we could whip up a classroom online, but really, what was the actual positive outcomes from that?
Yes, yeah. Oh, it breaks my heart.
It's a stretch.
Yeah, some of it broke my heart. Like, I saw my niece in London, and she was at a school, and they were doing singing lessons, and they were just like monitoring everyone to make sure they were still on and mouthing the. I'm like, why bother?
Control and conquer.
Yeah. And you still see it like there's like we did referrals on our failure to turn up to a online class, and you're like, if it's recorded, if they're at home, we don't,
rewatch it as many times as they like to relive the experience.
Yeah, precisely, and that's. You see those learners going into a university, and that's what they're doing. It was actually funny because at the same time, my wife was studying to be a teacher.
Right.
Through all the lockdowns, and it was you could see that wasn't the university experience.
No.
That those kids wanted, and I know a lot of them are now probably going to look to overseas for a little while, and yeah, I think that's well deserved.
Consequence of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Tricky, you have a number of hats that you wear
Yes.
in our city,
Yeah.
and primarily involved in the education area. But look, I think it's important that we give you a chance to actually shout out to all these organisations.
Oh yeah.
So who is it that you're involved in? What hats are you wearing? And what are they doing in the community?
So there's a lot of hats, and
Where do I start?
Yeah, I know. So the biggest thing I do is around sports, and this is both like physical and non-traditional sports. So I think
let's just call it esports.
Esports, yeah.
2PC,
non-traditional. Non-traditional, yeah. So esports and traditional sports as well. So like for example, on the weekend, I had a great time. I went down to Kaikorai Rugby Club and I saw almost a whole team of girls that I've coached play rugby, and that's phenomenal. It's really good. So pushing those spaces, connecting them with the community as well. On top of that, through core education, I started just looking at like the esports and allowing women and girls a bit more space in that. It turned out at our school a lot of people weren't engaging in esports, and I knew like games were happening up the road at Otago Boys and other places. So from that I started just arranging games with people, and now we've got a Otago, well, we call it an Otago League, but it's bigger than that. It's kind of exploded. We've got about 20 teams playing a game called Valorant, and they come from, the furthest is St Cuthbert's College up in Auckland, so a girls' school. They joined in because they knew we had more girls playing. Waitaki Girls High School, they've got about 4 teams all playing. We've got I've got St Kevin's have just joined in, Timaru Boys High School. It just goes on. So we run it through a Discord server that I kind of moderate and we've got the teachers on there. We've got a staff room now.
Wow.
We're actually, for the first year this year, we're going to have a teachers team. just because it's about fun and it's about engagement, and it's really like, so I've got at the moment 15 to 18 girls who are all playing in teams together, and you can't get them out of the room. And it's really about decision making, like communication between the team, because we don't want to be gaming on our own. It is something you could do against people you don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Like for hours, but we have them linked to, you're playing Logan Park High School this week, or you're playing King's High School, and they'll be nervous.
It's just like a traditional sport, really,
yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's the sports schedules and the games that you're playing.
And this is, and that's it. And from that, we've seen growing pathways through digital technologies.
Yeah.
I've had one student go on through game development who's gone into, who got a scholarship for Otago University in computer science. Another student who won an international game design award. She was an absolute phenomenal student, but a lot of these kids are not the kids who would be your basketball captain, there wouldn't be your rugby first 15.
No.
So I just saw this need for it. And through that I've been working with YOURCORPS, who are down in Gore, and they facilitate esports tournaments. They got all the hardware, which they can set up, and it's pretty incredible. Made out of e-waste, and James Ward's down there, incredible guy.
Yeah, shout out to James.
He's doing, and the whole thing is around well-being for these kids, because there's too much social isolation going on there as well. So trying to build that, and that's why. For the last 3 years, we've been doing the Otago Esports Brawl, and thank you for your help with that as well. Has been really, really exciting. So getting these kids together as well, and we made 2 front pages of the ODT with that. So I was pretty proud there.
That's winning.
That is winning. That is winning.
Well, thank you so much for all the mahi you do in that space.
Yeah.
It's really important.
It's fun. There's a lot of people who support it as well, So and it's like any sport. If you've got an engaged teacher at the school, they'll be successful. Whereas if the teacher's not really interested, then the kids won't get the chance. So
totally.
Thank
you.
Yeah. No.
Let's take a wee spin down Dunedin.
Oh yeah.
Because quite clearly you're not from here.
No.
But 16 years in, you've got some pretty well honed preferences, if you like.
I do.
So let's say you've got a family friend visiting from your hometown, and they're coming to see you in Dunedin.
Yeah.
What's that quintessential Dunedin experience you think you're going to give them? Food and location.
Yeah. This is it, isn't it? And this is. I stuffed this up the first time I was here, and
where did you take them?
I was like, my mate came over, and he's like a huge craft beer fan.
Oh, yeah.
Like huge craft beer fan.
Few to choose from.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, oh great. Well, I've heard of the Duke of Wellington, and I took him there, and he goes, these aren't New Zealand beers, but I was like, oh,
might as well stay at home.
But we did. We had a fantastic night there. It was he was looking to try the New Zealand craft beers, and we got so many here.
We did.
So my favourite place, probably if I'm just going for a drink, I'm going to Sessions Bar just up the road. That's because it's got my favourite barman, Michael Bellaby, there. I'll give him a big shout out because he's a recent immigrant as well.
Beautiful.
And we camped together and stuff, so he's good. But the Esplanade is probably our favourite place to go have some food and a drink as well. We absolutely love it there. Always great service, just brilliant place. And the kids love surfing down there, so being near the beach as well.
I think nearly 80% of our Dunedin Story participants have said exactly that, word for word. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely the gem, if you like, of Dunedin's offerings.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
What about event-wise, Mr. Tricky?
Oh,
is there an event outside of esports? Although we'll acknowledge that that's an awesome yearly event.
Yeah.
Is there a community, a family-based event that draws you every year?
Oh, yeah, good. That's a good question, actually. Yeah, geez. Because I think it develops for the kids, doesn't it, as well?
The older they get,
the
more out there type of events you can get involved in.
Yeah, but we really loved the Lantern Festival when they were younger. But now we've been so heavily involved with Brighton Surf Lifesaving.
Oh, great.
Because both my wife and my daughter was a lifesaver. Don't worry, I'm not a lifesaver. If anyone's seen me swim, then
I think you've saved a few lives, but just not in the water. Perhaps.
Not in the water.
Water.
But we went to this IRB racing.
Oh yes.
Up at Wakawaiti, and I could not believe the scale of that event.
The talent and everything.
And the amount of women actually participating in the motorsport, I thought was incredible. I'd always get to the rugby if I can, but New Zealand rugby need to get Scotland over here. You know, in
do you think would sell out the Forsyth Bar Stadium?
Definitely. Like in 16 years, Scotland's never been here.
Right.
For
How
a
do
rugby
we start
game.
this to happen?
Well, I've talked to the New Zealand Rugby and I talked to their manager.
I bet you have.
And I said, hey, when's Scotland coming? And they said, oh, you know, and yeah. But hopefully, just one test.
Just one.
They were in Invercargill when it was for the World Cup, and that's the closest they've been to Dunedin. Right. But I think we need the Scots to visit. We had the cricket team come through. We looked after them. And it is, you know, the FIFA World Cup.
Might have to start a petition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. So, segue to the next question, which people do find a bit tricky, this one.
Yeah.
So, this is who, Dunedin legend, that you would like to share a Spates or an Ocho hot chocolate with?
Oh, yeah. I'd probably be a Spates, and I'm probably going to shout out another kayako in town is Neil Brew.
Okay, Mr. Brew.
Mr. Brew.
Yeah.
He's a real. I really appreciate his mahi. He was taught my daughter, and I cannot believe you can walk into a school in Dunedin and be taught by
somebody at that level.
Well, a New Zealand Maori All Black.
Yeah.
It's when I talk to my friends back home, they can't believe it. It's amazing. So yeah, that'd be Neil Brew would probably be, so we could have a good jam as well.
That's awesome. And will it just be a quiet table of two, or do you think there might be a few collection of other teachers that are in your facility that might join you?
Yeah. Well, we definitely get a few, and I do like to mix it up. I've got some good friends as well who are outside of education, which I think is really important for teachers.
Yeah.
To actually keep your context a bit wider. Especially with the business community, so I do a bit of work with them as well. So so I'd have there's my mate Ollie Barton, who does a bit of consultancy. He's very, very funny in those situations. So
nice. I could imagine those sessions around how do we improve the outcomes for our students and what's the future of education. And nice little segue to my last question for you. 2024. We're a third through. Yes. What does the rest of the year look like for you, and what are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, well, it is. I'm like, I set high goals at the start of the year. I kind of, this year, I'm running Year 13 Business Studies and Year 12 Business Studies. And I have got, and we're in the Young Enterprise competition, which is just such hands-on, great learning, and so I'd like to shout out I think some of my students have been at Dunedin Airport, some of my students have been down at the Unipole down there doing product validation. They've been all over the place, and thank you for just everyone welcoming them. So I've kind of set my stall for a number of, we're looking at some excellence awards. We were really lucky. We got. I managed to help, but it was all her. And I can name her probably. She was in the ODT. But Sammy McCormick's currently in Mexico on a business trip.
Wow.
With the Young Enterprise, which is fantastic. Yeah. I've got 3 students heading up to Auckland for Rangatahi Pacifica voyages. Yeah. So looking at connecting them with business. And at the end of the year, I definitely want to take a number to Te Papa for the finals of Young Enterprise. But I've got very, very strong competition through everyone.
I have no doubt that you are going to achieve this.
Yeah, well,
the passion
I hope so.
Is so evident.
Yeah. And it's funny, the business never stops. It's I see girls in the street, and straight away we're talking about their SMART goals and what's the next steps. And and my year 13s, I said to them the other day, I said, can you imagine that by the age of 17 you've run 2 small businesses?
Exactly.
And they were like, oh.
Yeah. So, and in 10 years' time, they'll be sitting at a podcast and they'll reflect and they'll think about Mr. Tricky.
Oh, and
the role that you played in that.
Well, hopefully, and that you really, measuring those outcomes and where they can go, and connecting them to hopefully what's a really bright future. So because I think it's hard to see it sometimes as a young person, that you will be successful no matter what people say. You will be successful, and there's a pathway out there for you. And
you need to lean on those people that are there to support you.
Yes.
Take that hand that's offered.
Yeah.
And allow that future to roll out, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for what you do. It's just incredible. And the time has gone far too quickly, and I think we need to bring you back, and we need to talk about some of these other organisations that you're involved in, because they deserve their own story, don't they?
Yeah. That's it as well.
Thank you so much.
No, well, thank you. And I just, again, with Youth Employment Success, what awesome mahi you're doing, and I know like how much you guys do in the community, and you look after everyone. So it's fantastic, and especially our Dunedin Stories and Dunedin Store.
Thanks.
So buy local.
Yes, support local.
Support local.
Employ our young people. Make sure that they have career opportunities here in Otago Dunedin.
Give them a chance.
See you again soon, I think.
Oh, thank you, Bex.
Thanks, Duncan.
Awesome.